Well, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome today's guest, Leanne Jones, the Conscious Healing Coach. Leanne, we met about 3 months ago, maybe. Yes. Not long over that, we met online, and we did a meditation session together, and thought it'd be great for you to come on and chat about your journey from your corporate career through to where you're at now, helping people with mindset and also helping them with Kundalini awakenings, which is something we've never talked about on this podcast before.
Yeah. So, hello, I'm Leanne, and I've been what I'd call like a typical corporate businesswoman for the past 11 years. So when I was 19, I kind of grew up in poverty. And my mum was like, look, Leanne, we don't have any money to pay the bills. You're going to have to go out and get a job. And I started at the age of 19 as a full-time cleaner at the steelworks in Redcar where I live. And I started out as this cleaner. And when I got into this environment, it was like the steelworks. And I was like, oh my God, this is so dangerous. And I just really wanted to protect people and keep people safe. So I started self-funding my NEBOSH qualification. So I would go from work from 6 a.m. till 12 p.m. and then college from 1 p.m. till 9 at night. And I studied my NEBOSH qualification, self-funded. And a couple of years later, I was really fortunate to get a job working in safety for quite a large manufacturing business with over 800 people and 2 sites, one in the north, one in the south. So at quite a young age, I was engaging with senior managers, doing some quite important things at a young age. And I was very fortunate and lucky to work for a business that also nurtured and developed me. So they spent about £35,000 investment on me in my infancy of my career, which I'll always be super grateful for. And then, I've been in numerous positions, so advisor positions, senior management positions, and just back down to a recent advisor position. And when I was a senior manager was when we had the pandemic. So I was a health and safety manager leading the business for a global pandemic, which was mega, mega stressful. And during that period, I started to experience panic attacks and anxiety, which was really, really confusing for me, because I'd gone from this, in my head, this woman that stands up in front of 50 people and just does her thing and doesn't really care, to kind of feeling frightened of everything. And I just didn't understand what was going on for me. And I ended up taking a lower level role. And for the past 4 or 5 years now, I've been on the journey back to wellness. And throughout this journey back to wellness, I've developed a number of different skills, meditation being one of them, understanding about belief systems and how to shift belief. And I kind of created this morning routine that I took myself through every single day, that I've just continued to do for the past 4 or 5 years. And so then this kind of moves on to the process of Kundalini awakening. And I've been going through it now, I would probably say 2 and a bit years. And it's only over the past year have I actually realised that I was going through this process of Kundalini awakening. So I'll tell you what it is, a little bit about what it is, and then you can understand.
If we go backwards a bit though,
okay.
What was your morning routine?
Okay.
You just going to drop that in there and then moved on, and everyone's going to be thinking, what was it?
Yeah, give me the insider.
Exactly.
So it was meditation whilst still feeling a bit groggy. So your brainwave patterns are easier kind of to relax. So I would meditate every morning, and I would just get my little blanket and wrap my little blanket around me. I get some essential oils, rub them in, big inhale, and I would meditate for 10 minutes. So I started with the app Insights Timer. So if anyone is looking for a meditation app, I would recommend Insights Timer as a a beginning, and it would just be like body scan meditations or listening to certain wave patterns and stuff like that. And then it was affirmations, so like positive affirmations about myself. I would literally write a full page of positive affirmations, but it would be things like, let's say, for example, if I had a big business meeting, I was feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, I would kind of counteract that with positive affirmations. So I would say things like, I am a powerful communicator, I get great results. So it was kind of, I used it as a tool to kind of empower me against the things that were making me feel nervous or anxious. Mm-hmm. And then finally was gratitude practice. So just taking time every single day to think about what I'm grateful for. And that's on my model. This is the kind of things that I teach people. But prior to even starting that morning routine, I also set an intention for the day. So, for example, if I was feeling anxious, I'd set an intention for the day that I wanted my day to feel peaceful and calm. So I would do that every single day. And whilst I was doing this, I didn't understand the science or the neuroscience of what I was doing. I just kind of knew that something needed to change. And like that time, first thing in the morning, setting the tone for the day, I call it, like that quiet time has that ripple effect throughout your day. So every day I would just set the tone of the day. And that was what I started 4 or 5 years ago now. And I still do that, start the day in peace and calm, and it ripples out throughout the day.
Nice. I like it. It's impossible, of course, to feel anything other than gratitude. So you can't feel anxious if you're already being grateful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Amazing.
Perfect. So that obviously had a profound effect and then led you on to where you're at now, where you're teaching people these strategies. And also that led you on to this awakening as well. Yeah.
So, it's been happening for, I'd probably say like over 2 years now. And essentially, like, Kundalini is our own life force energy. So in the base of our spine, we all have this mass source of energy, and most people in their lifetimes do not raise their Kundalini energy past a certain point. So, for example, the chakras, as they call it in Hinduism, or energy centers, the bottom 3 chakras are all based upon survival, meeting your needs, lust, achievement, and things like that. Most people in their lifetime keep their energy in them lower centers. They're always trying to survive. They're always stuck in this state of fight or flight, or always trying to seek the next achievement. And when this energy starts to move from these lower centers, it starts to go up into your heart center, your throat chakra, and your kind of higher centers. And as it does, it starts to open you up to new realms of feeling the interconnectedness between us all, and kind of feelings of oneness and knowing there's like a higher perspective on things. So like when you are operating out of them lower centers, you're very much in a fight or flight or survival mode, and it's very difficult to understand that there is different perspectives on things. There's 7 sides to every story and stuff like that. But when you're in fight or flight, when you are in them lower centers, you're that conscious about survival that you can't look at them alternative things. So we all have this energy in the base of our spine, and many people in their lifetime won't raise their energy past a certain point. And what started to happen to me a couple of years ago was this energy started to move through my central energy channel. And as it was moving through my central energy channel, it kind of like purges any impurities or traumas that we've had in our life. And how it looked for me initially was week on week, I would have this huge shift in perspective, which would come along with an understanding of a traumatic experience that I had in my life that I hadn't processed. So it came along with lots of what I'd call like somatic expression of emotion. So crying, maybe like anger and stuff like that. So for example, when I was younger, I was bullied a lot in school. I was bullied significantly, which resulted in, as an adult, just having some deep-rooted feelings about how I physically looked. And at one stage throughout this journey, I was listening to a book by Jay Shetty, and it said, speak to your younger self. So I was writing this letter to my younger self, and all of this like anger and emotion started coming from me. And it was like this childlike feeling of feeling like I couldn't defend myself, and just this anger towards all of these kids that used to pick on me and stuff like that. So all of these emotions just started coming out of my body to express, and it was like, I'd call it like a little bit like emotional turmoil, and I couldn't understand what was happening to me. And these shifts were happening week on week on week, to the point where I was having to have really difficult conversations with people in my life, because my mum, for example, was super critical of me growing up and blamed me for quite a lot of things. And there was just no understanding that actually I was a child. When you were penalising me for all of these things, having all of this awareness, for not having all of this maturity, I was a child and I didn't know what I was doing. And there was this like rage from within me, from this child that just wanted to be heard and be seen. So I actually went downstairs and I was just like, Mum, I was a child. She was just like, what? I said, I was a child. She had no idea what I was talking about. But there was just this overwhelming like emotion of like justice needed to be had. And yeah, so it was quite a lot of psychological things coming to the forefront. And then I danced a lot when I was younger, and I just started going to the studio and dancing, and my hands started to become like very like floaty. And I was like, oh, okay, that's new. Like, I must just be becoming a better dancer, like, you know, getting better with age and all of that. And then I started going to the gym and doing certain mudras with my hand and postures that I'd never done before, and I just couldn't explain. And I was just like, oh, okay then. Like, yeah, I must be just getting better with age. And them kind of things started happening to me. And until then, I was meditating. And when I was meditating, my head just started going. And I was like, whoa, what's going on with me? Like, my head was literally like swaying. And it wasn't me. Like, I wasn't intentionally moving my head. It was like this unconscious like movement of swaying.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is really freaking me out. And then I started to have what I'd call like a lot of physical symptoms, which some of them were pleasant and some of them weren't. So I would, it felt like I had that much energy moving through my body at any given time that I just had to go home from work and I'd have an Epsom salt bath, which is very good for magnesium, for calming the nervous system. And I had so much energy moving through my body. And then I would start to get like really cold. So my internal body would just turn freezing. And I was just like, I didn't understand what was going on. And I remember like Googling some things at the time and just knowing that it wasn't, what I was experiencing wasn't normal, and it didn't feel like a normal like ill health condition. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like I started to look at like Kundalini awakening, and that was the first time that I'd start to look at it. And it was saying things like you have increased energy. You might have heating or cooling sensations. It can be difficult to manage psychologically. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like this makes sense. Like at one stage, I was walking along the beach. I was grounding along the beach. And all of a sudden, like it felt like my heart just burst open with like huge energy and so much love that I was like crying. Like my heart was burst open with that much love. And I'd never felt anything like it before, like just so pure. And I was just like, yeah, this is unique. Whatever's happening is very unique. And I reached out to a person who does Kundalini activations. And at the time, like I was still very fearful. Like I didn't understand what was going on with me. Like I knew it was different, but I didn't know what was going on. And I reached out to this girl to do an online Kundalini activation. And you'd think online Kundalini activation, that sounds weird, but actually in the world of energy, there is no kind of distance between us. So like when people do energy work, like there's no distance. It works just as well as being like face to face. So this girl like just gets me to, we started off with like moving our body, shaking our body and connecting to our body, and then just gets me to like lie down. And she's doing this energy transmission to me over Zoom or whatever. And I lie down, and then unbeknown to me, my body just starts moving like a worm. And basically the energy was very prominent within my body already. I just didn't know. So like if any other person had it and they hadn't gone through an awakening, they might just kind of like stay still until they connect with that energy even more.
Yeah.
So my body starts like moving in these ways, and they're called kriyas. And essentially the way that I imagine it is like this life force, this feminine energy moves through your energy body, and then it like hits a block. And as it hits a block, it's just like pushing and forcing, which is resulting in these different like movements within the system and the body. And then after that, I realized that I didn't need anybody to do that. I could literally lie down and this energy would just flow through my body and create these kriyas and these movements in my body where it was like, moving against stuck, stagnant energy, like fighting against stuck, stagnant energy. And yeah, I spent a lot of time for a while just allowing the energy to move through me. A lot of the time it was like crunching my abdomen in. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like how it flows through the body. And then I was like, I need to learn more about this, because I was going to work. I had an overwhelming amount of energy and I didn't know how to contain it. And then I had all of this psychological things that were happening to me that I'm like, my mindset must be like iron now, because week on week, this just turmoil, overcoming, week on week, the resilience, like it was hard going. And then, so then I started working with like a yogi master from India. So I did some training to become a Kundalini activation practitioner. And that's where I started to learn pranayama breath work, so alternative nostril breath work, the breath of fire and things like that. And it's about essentially, so like our central energy channel on the left side is our feminine side and the right side is our masculine. So feminine is cooling and masculine is heating. And essentially, like when you do these different breath work exercises, you are starting to clear the central energy channel of any stuck and stagnant like emotion, because energy is emotion, energy in motion. So any time in which we've had in life where we've suppressed emotion, because we're a society that gets taught that, right? We're not a society that's nurtured into emotional intelligence, that's taught how to express our emotions in a healthy way. It gets stuck in this central energy channel. So through doing these breathwork exercises, you're starting to clear the channel, which then allowed the flow of this Kundalini energy to flow through me easier without hitting them roadblocks. So I learned that. I learned the power of chanting, so different chants for each energy center as well. Yeah. And for a while, I would literally I'd be in like bed or whatever, and I'd just be chanting to my stomach and stuff like that. But it was very unique because it started to feel like I developed like a real deep connection with my body and my different like organs and stuff like that. And that might sound a bit strange, but it felt beautiful. Yeah. Like some of these meditations that I was doing, it felt like it was the first time like my stomach had been listened to. Do you know what I mean? And it was really beautiful and unique. And then I learned how to transmit this energy to other people through like concentrated practices and just opening up my channel and stuff like that. So it was and Kundalini yoga postures. So it was really helpful for me at that moment in time to go through that process, because it was like throughout my life I've done yoga in some capacity, but it's like I just thought it was exercise. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought, oh yeah, I'm doing a bit of stretching and a bit of exercise, but actually there's a real reason behind it. It's for the flow of energy, and it's to allow that flow of energy because we're connected to something much bigger than ourselves, much more powerful than ourselves. And if we can have a flow of energy, we can allow that energy to move through us to create. So I started that, and the energy just started to really flow more fluently through my body. So when I dance now, and when this energy flows through my body, like it looks so beautiful. Like if I watch videos of me dancing, I'm in awe of myself because of how fluid my body is. Like my spine is so flexible and so bendy now, way more than I ever was when I was a child or growing up. Like it's like all of the tension that was stuck and stored in my body from childhood and in my nervous system has all been released. So I'm just a big like floaty thing, which is absolutely fantastic. But
can anyone teach these things, or can anyone be taught?
Yeah, absolutely. There's like YouTube videos, there's books on it and stuff like that. But I would just say like err on the side of caution, because I've told you like the psychological distress that I've had. So every single belief system that I adopted in my life that is restricting in nature, I've had to work through. And it's not from oh yeah, like I want to do better, I want to be better. Like in order for me to be in this world, like physically in this world, I've had to come to terms with certain belief systems that were holding me back. So at one stage, like I went into work and I was in a deep state of terror, like deep state of terror. And obviously something in my external reality has reminded me of a traumatic experience, but my psychosomatic response, or the response between my external reality and my bodily response, became that powerful that I literally was in a deep state of terror at my desk at work. And that on a logical level, like I knew, like, yeah, I'm at my desk at work, like I'm safe, but like my body was terrified. And that was really hard for me. That was really, really hard being around so many people in this like physical world and physical reality whilst experiencing so much turmoil.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why yoga is doing the postures and the asanas and stuff like that, because it's trying to teach your body how to allow the flow of energy without it hitting blockages and stuff. And it's releasing, like people don't realize it's releasing stored, stagnant, trapped, like traumatic energy. And that's the purpose of doing these postures and these positions. But if you're a person that doesn't look after yourself, has had a life full of like trauma, or had grown up in an abusive household and stuff like that, and then you just start popping off like Kundalini things like that, it can be dangerous for people that haven't conditioned. Like I'm in good shape, I'm in very good shape, and like my body is well conditioned, but you put another person whose body isn't in good condition, this amount of energy through another person, it's and without the skill set in terms of mindset that I've learned and had to develop, it could end in a complete different way. And this is why I really want to raise the awareness with Kundalini, because I do fundamentally believe that there is more people experiencing this, but they're getting diagnosed certain conditions instead, because it works with the nervous system. So if I went to the doctors and I said, look, I'm getting tingling sensations in my body and cooling sensations and this, that and the other, they'd have put me on some kind of medication because they don't understand what like Kundalini energy actually is. Yeah. And I believe that there's people out there who are potentially going through this and maybe don't understand it, don't know about it. I certainly didn't know about it. And if I wasn't as resilient as I am, I'd have probably like succumbed to what people said, like, is she just not making it up, Leanne? Like that's what people said to me, like, is she not just making this up? And I'm just like, the world is a big place. Like what we believe to be true and what we know to be true in the Western world isn't reflective of everything. And like I have so much love, I'll call it love, like bliss moving through my body most of the time. And when I meditate, like I can get into states of like ecstasy like that. And I went to see Joe Dispenza last year, and he talks a lot into Kundalini, and he's measured the effects of somebody in one of them states, and like 200 times the normal person's oxytocin levels. That's the kind of states that I can reach in seconds. And he talks about if our chemical composition is what creates disease in the body, and you can change that chemical composition within seconds to something entirely different. It's like a whole different ball game for the world of disease and stuff like that. So, like I think it'd be interesting for somebody to take some of my blood and see what's going on. But yeah, and it psychologically like opens up your perspective to so much more. Like when I see people now, I see their limits in communication, or I see their I see their limits. Like I see how they're limiting themselves and how they're communicating, or when they're blaming people, I can see that they're just coming from like a limited perspective. So like I just see things from a much kind of bigger viewpoint and bigger angle than I ever did, and realize that we all are like interconnected. Like there's something much bigger at play. But we are many of us, many people are disconnected from that life force, that unity consciousness that helps us to function in the world, in a world that fosters like community and connection and kindness and love. Like for many people, their energy channel is stuck. They're in freeze mode and they're operating from purely logical mind and ego. Whereas this feminine energy, that's what it is. It's your feminine life force energy. As it flows through you, it brings all of this vitality back to you. It helps you to connect with your oneness. It helps you to connect with your emotions. It helps you to process things. You feel things on a deeper level. Like when I listen to the wind, I feel the wind like whistling through my body, and it's incredible.
Yeah, amazing. Well, if people are listening and they think, I want to get involved in this Kundalini, where do they find you?
Yeah. So if you go on my Instagram and type in Kundalini_bliss, I do online or face-to-face activations. So that for me would be a great starting place, where we'll start with like breath work to begin with, and then it's like lying down and receiving the transmission. And a lot of people are very disconnected from their body. So the first time round, you may not necessarily feel anything, because you need to develop that reconnection back to your body in order to develop the safety in the body, in order for the energy to flow through it. So I would say like that would be a perfect start for 10, or even just if they had like a stretching practice, start with a stretching practice to begin with, but intuitively. Like I don't massively go and do yoga classes and stuff like that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I think everything has its place, but I encourage intuitive movement. So like movement that feels good for the body, and like being with the body and feeling into like what feels good, what feels like it's a bit of a stretch, trying to push that a little bit but not too much, and starting to build that relationship with your body. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to a class and I do this posture and that posture and, you know, very rigid. Just kind of what feels good for your body, like connecting.
Yeah, and then do more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then your body is all of our bodies is the most intelligent piece of bloody hardware on the entire planet. Very, very intelligent. And we've disconnected from it. We've disconnected from the intelligence of our body. So
we're all stuck too often on these. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sucked into that world.
Yeah, and it's not easy being in the body as well, because when you are in the body, you've got some hard things to come to terms with. Like for example, the past like 24 hours, like I've been feeling a lot of anger. So with connection to your body comes connection to your emotions as well. And I've felt a lot of anger. And this anger is related to like growing up, having to grow up so quick because of a lack of responsibility in my household and stuff like that. And I'm nearly 33 years old, and only now I'm coming to terms with the fact that there was a lot of hurt and a lot of resentment about not feeling safe in certain circumstances. So like, if you imagine, I've had that in my body ever since these events have been happening, and you imagine what is that doing to my body? Probably a lot of not very nice things. So like it's easier to look at this phone and be on this rather than sit with yourself and come to terms with some of the some of your own experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do think, though, I don't have any kids, but I think having children is quite a fast track route to that as well, in terms of like, I think parents have a huge task on their hands in terms of they're nurturing this beautiful child and this beautiful baby, but then also potentially coming to terms with certain needs that weren't met for them, and they provided this for their child whilst having to realise like that's what they should have got, and it's not, and that's a way of emotional processing as well. But yeah, I think having kids is a fast track to that.
It definitely is. Well, if anyone's watching and they're thinking, I really want to get in touch with Leanne and do some work together, where can they find you? What's the next step?
Yeah, Instagram, type in Kundalini_bliss, and that's my Instagram page. So that's where I do the Kundalini stuff, and then my other part of business is marketed on like LinkedIn and stuff like that. That's more directed at corporate businesses. So yeah, my Instagram is the main place for Kundalini, and it's I would say like activations is a smoother route to go down. So like there's two ways in which you can kind of awaken the Kundalini. One is the masculine route, which is through discipline, willpower, breath work, hard work, and there's the feminine route as well, which can be like connecting with your body through like sensual movement, dance, activation process. So there's kind of two different paths that people can choose. Don't go hardcore and start doing hours and hours and hours of breath work when you're not looking after yourself. It would be a foolish thing to do, in my opinion, to do that. As I said, it brings a lot of psychological stuff to the surface, and if you're not prepared for that, and if you don't have the skills for that, it could seriously impact your life in a negative way.
That doesn't sound like a good thing. So everybody should reach out to you and get help to do it properly.
Yeah, work with me, do it properly. And also being like I like to think I provide people with a safe space. I think that people can only take you to the depths in which they've gone themselves. And I've done a lot of inner work. I have to, by nature of, if I don't, this energy causes like certain bodily effects. So for example, as women, as children, for example, anger is something which isn't necessarily nurtured in girls. So like good girls don't get angry, and then this resulted in a blockage in my stomach, which is the seat of your anger. It caused me physical pain until I see a therapist, and we work through this as well, until I could move that anger and that rage and express that anger and rage. So now, like on a frequent basis, I literally go to the gym and I've got some boxing gloves, and I have to like physically like I scream at the boxing thing because I have to move the energy. I have to move it, otherwise it becomes painful for my body. And this is what I say about people, like, don't just open Pandora's box, and because it's a lot of energy. It's a lot.
You know what to do with it.
Yeah. You need to know how to channel it, know what to do with it. It's our creative life force. It's what kind of, in the spiritual world, they say everything is made out of feminine energy. It creates everything. Feminine energy, like what we see, that's feminine energy, and the masculine kind of holds the space. The masculine's like the awareness that kind of holds the space. The feminine is the creative energy. So yeah, like I have a lot of energy. I don't need any coffee or caffeine. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing today. We'll make sure all of the links to your Instagram and your LinkedIn are under this post when it goes out, and this will probably go out in a week or two. So thank you very much. Any final thoughts to leave everybody with?
I think my final thoughts would be, I'll say Carl Jung's quote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll rule your life and you'll call it fate. Like, don't be in this world and not know yourself, not know why you are the way you are. Get to know your blind spots a little bit more. Know yourself, and if you do, this life force, it's within us all, it's innate to us all, it's our connection to divine, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, and it's the most beautiful and profound experience when you connect with that. Like, you will not, well, maybe like the love that you feel for a child, it's kind of it's pure unconditional love, just absolute, but like you literally feel it within your veins. You can feel, like, oxytocin times 200. It's available to us all, and if more people connected with them parts of themselves, the world would be a better place, because we'd realise that we are all interconnected. You wouldn't want to do harm to your brothers. You wouldn't want to not treat people right, because they are you, just in another body, another vessel, whatever you want to call it. So,
that's a powerful way to leave it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, and I'll let you carry on with the rest of your day.
Thank you, Ross. Cheers.
Bye.